Okay, so we had the nice weather yesterday, started to cool off today. I'm doing little choppy steps across the black ice in our parking lot, and it got me to thinking about, foot in winter. And Dr. Mark Bradley's here from Brantford Podiatry Associates. Got different challenges in winter?
Absolutely. Getting to work for a start is a challenge.
Yeah. Now, confession's good for the soul. I try to avoid boots always.
Yeah,
And
I think we're all guilty of trying to
Yeah,
minimize. And again, we were talking this earlier. I went home to Ireland for Christmas and just got an eye-opener, such a difference in weather and how we're prepared or not prepared for it. And I was thinking it'd be a great topic because too often we don't really think about it. We think, I'm going to the office, I've got the day ahead, and you leave the house wearing the shoes that are appropriate for that day at the office.
is there obvious and not obvious damage from something as simple as cold feet?
Well, there's long-term damage where, for a lot of our kids, we stick them in these snow boots, which don't really give much support and much control. And I understand the reasoning. It's simple, they're easy on, easy off, but they're awful as far as support and control. And here in Southern Ontario, we don't really need snow boots that often. I could have got away with that last year, but this year it's not so easy. Point is, where possible, the most appropriate, the most stable footwear is ideal.
And it was so funny you mentioned that because yesterday I took a walk because the weather was nice and I'm heading down Easton Road and I see a gentleman in those shorty boots. He hasn't got them tied up. And one of the feet is just like, I don't know what he's walking on, but it's not the sole.
Yeah.
So that kind of support important. And it's something as simple as parents driving kids crazy to tie them up.
Yeah. The support's vital, but at this time of year, you really do need to think about, waterproofness. Footwear comes, a lot of shoes will be nice and waterproof to begin with. How often do people actually take time to apply polish or apply a waterproofing agent?
Right.
A lot of the spray-on products are good, but they're short-lived, and it's hard to beat the old-fashioned rubbing something into the leather to actually make it waterproof, and it makes it more supple, and it lasts a heck of a lot longer.
Why do I get the feeling that we can be too warm in those boots? And I think sometimes maybe the cheap ones are going to come off being too warm.
Especially if they don't breathe. And,
Right.
and the leather's hard to beat, although some of the modern fabrics, obviously, and clothing breathe very well. But for footwear, you need that waterproof factor. The other thing is, again, if your feet do get wet, they need to get dried, and the inside of the boot or the shoe needs to get dried off. The actual socks, the hosiery need to get dried, the feet need to get dried. It's amazing how quickly feet can get cold, and in an extreme situation like we had recently, the wrong footwear can lead to frostbite. It happens incredibly quickly, even faster if the feet have actually gotten wet to begin with, then the cold gets in much, much faster. If it's allowed to remain wet, then you've got fungal infections, bacterial infections. You've got to actually take care and actually let things dry out properly. If insoles get wet, take them out and let them air dry properly.
Is that second pair of socks going for the warmth going to cause us a problem as opposed to wearing the right footwear?
Well, there are times when you maybe don't have a nice thick pair of socks that are nice and woolly and insulating. The second pair won't do any harm in that situation. Just if you get wet,
Right.
They need to come off. Lots of nice materials, insoles that will reflect the heat back up into your foot and keep the cold out, reflect the cold back down into the ground. There's lots of nice, simple insoles like that that work really, really well.
And before I let you get out of here, buyer beware with foot kiosks and discount insoles and those kind of things. You're like Fram oil filter. You can pay now or pay later.
You just got to be sensible about things. There is no quick fix.
Right.
You need to take the time and figure out exactly what's wrong. Stepping on.
Yeah. Well, you had a great story. You were at a kiosk, and one of your boys said, "Can I go stand on that?" And you let him. And what happened?
We were waiting to fill a prescription, so the kids wanted to hop on this thing, and they were having fun looking at the imprint of their feet. And about 4 people came up to me and went, "Don't buy those for your kids." Thanks. I thought it was nice. I mean, They actually took the time to.
Yeah, and your blood pressure may not be perfect in those cuffs in the pharmacy. Listen, thanks for coming in and enjoy the
Pleasure
winter.
as always. Thank you.
Dr. Mark Bradley, Brantford Podiatry Associates. Coming back, it's going to be a Wednesday.